So there I was again, pushing my bike through the Arizona desert. Now, as you can see, I'm in a wash. There's nothing particularly difficult, hard, or challenging about this wash. It was literally a road marked on the map, so I thought to myself, well, I want to get back really quick, I'll just take this road. And the bike just died and didn't turn back over, as you can see, but as I was pushing, I would periodically hit the start button, and finally, after about an hour of pushing, things just kicked right on over. And then I made a beeline for the road back to the van. Get back to the van by some crazy miracle. I'm not sure why, but about 6 miles into pushing it down that wash, the bike just decided to start. All of a sudden, I was periodically just hitting the start switch and it just kicked over right away. It was really strange. And then it worked great after that, like no problems. So I don't know. It was weird and concerning given that the race is tomorrow. Other than that, I felt great on the bike, like so good on the bike. This makes me hesitant, to say the least. So I'm gonna look at the spark plug when I get over to the start area, unload and take the spark plug out. That's pretty much the only thing I can really think of. I didn't even crash. It was so weird and out of the ordinary. I don't know what to say, so we'll dig into it and see what we find, I guess. So I went through all the usual culprits, spark, gas, air, and I didn't find anything suspicious, and the bike ran great, so I just went ahead and got ready for the race the next day. But like a good little vlogger, I completely skipped the entire morning prep that led up to the race, which, you know, it happens. But this is the lineup for the first transfer section. I ended up on the line with Alex Trapp and put on a good show for all of the people spectating the start. So by now you've probably realized that this video series is called the Arizona Curse, and the deal behind this whole situation is for the past couple of years I've been trying to ride at this place called Mile Markers, aka Boulders OHV, just outside of Pheonix, Arizona. And for the past 2 or 3 years, every time I go there, something catastrophic always happens to somebody else's bike. So we always have to turn around, and I've been trying to do this loop, and I've completed the same 13 miles every single time I go, and I can only be there for a day. So this time I signed up for the race to cover 80 miles worth of single track under the pretense that the only reason I would not be able to go past those 13 miles would be my own fault. Well, in the first video you saw, it was actually my fault this time. The bike broke down. And so I went back to California to go get this bike, and then this bike kind of had some weird funky things happen. But all in all, the reason I signed up for this race was I wanted to see what Mile Markers had to offer, all 80 miles of it. So this was a really fun challenge for me. I had some not so graceful moments in test 1, but it seemed that a lot of people didn't have very many graceful moments in test 1. Holy shit, are you okay? I'm glad to see this guy is up and walking, but how the heck he managed to land so far away from his bike is crazy to me. So then in test 2, we came upon this really awesome feature. Probably my favorite part of the whole race was this like double ledgy slabbed waterfall area. Really awesome, fun, like techie spot. Definitely want to go back and ride it again. But I came up over the top and look who I found. It's Jesse Cameron, one of my old riding friends from Minnesota. Don't worry, I asked if he was okay, but I got so caught up with the need to make passes in this race that I was not paying attention to the trail at all. No way this is the right way. Where the hell's the trail?
Right here.
Oh, fuck. See this rock right here? This rock is gonna become my worst nemesis here in a hot second, because now I'm in this like panic state of, oh my gosh, I gotta turn around, I gotta get going, like I can't believe I made this really dumb mistake, and I'm all penned in by this down tree, and I'm so like tunnel visioned into this problem of needing to turn around that I just wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And mind you, test 2 was 38 straight miles. So I'm already tired and exhausted and making dumb choices, and you guessed it, I ended up putting that bike up on that rock like it was a bike stand, like I was trying to take my tires off. It was such a dumb decision to try and pivot over that rock. I don't even know why I did that. And now I'm getting all psyched out because I'm seeing all these people passing both Jesse and I, and even Jesse manages to take off before I do. Why would you do this, Catherine? Yeah, this is one of those moments where it's way funnier the day after. But I decided to leave this in here because it is Fungi reality TV. You know, this is like the reality of everything. When we're racing and we're pushing really hard, things get a little heated sometimes with ourselves, but that's okay. After a lot of muscle and grit and like putting my head down and just doing it and figuring it out, I did get myself unstuck, and I did have to have a conversation with myself before we went back riding again. Get myself all psyched up. I think I was about halfway through this section. I was already out of water because it was a 2.5 hour section straight of no stopping. So it was pretty intense. But I put my big girl pants back on and I started racing again, and I ended up catching all those guys that passed me in the ravine. I passed Jesse Cameron again, and about 8 miles left in this test, I ended up punching a cholla. Unfortunately, my Insta360 died not shortly after this, so it didn't catch it. But I rode those last 8 miles with this cholla ball just hanging off of my fingers. They still hurt, let me tell you. Definitely still have spines in my fingers. In my brain, I was mathing it. I was like, okay, my average pace is 18 miles per hour. If I only got 8 miles left, then it's only like 15 or 20 more minutes. And let me tell you, it was not 15 or 20 more minutes. I was riding for at least another 45 minutes with this cholla ball in my hand, and it was not just hanging out there having a party, you know. I was like punching other cactus with it in there. I was getting whipped by these like ocotillo cactuses. Things were just grabbing this cholla ball and just wrenching on it while it was still in my hand, and I just grit my teeth the whole time because I was so hyper fixated on the time that I lost on that rock that I told myself there's no way I can stop to pull this cholla out right now. So that was an adventure. And then in test 3, I actually ended up high-siding off of a cliff. There's no videos of it, so enjoy this dramatic reenactment of what it looked like. It's intense, I know. But basically my leg got caught underneath the bar and my foot was stuck under the radiator while I had my back in a cactus, while my head was downhill. The whole situation was really terrifying. Jesse Cameron ended up coming to my rescue, and I was so grateful that he was there, because without him, I honestly don't know how long I was going to be there, and it was really scary. As Jesse would say, a truly unsettling position to be in. Should have broken my leg. I really should have, and a lot more could have gone wrong in that situation, but it didn't, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. After all of that, I did in fact finish the Wickenburg Enduro. I placed second in Women's A, which, given that this is my first race in the whole year and this isn't really my style of riding anymore, I'm pretty happy with that. I packed up and headed over to Rio Verde the next day to go ride with Kevin and his friend Glenn on some like hard enduro-esque type style riding, and it was a full day of adventure. And yes, you heard that right. The day after an 80-mile race, I went out to go ride with Kevin. Since he snapped his throttle, he didn't really get to ride at all yesterday, so here we are. I know, this doesn't look like much, but it's just the warm-up. Like, I promise there's a lot cooler stuff coming up ahead. However, right after we came out of this canyon, we all stopped to talk about directions. This is very important here. We stopped, had a full conversation about directions. It was really intense.
Yeah, we're not going up Black Mamba. We'll go up the hard enduro
Second one up, yeah,
exit. The one with all the hoops and or the tubs and shit.
Yeah,
up this stuff.
And with our destination set, we're off. Now, this is the entrance to the canyon that we were going to go up, but as you can see, everything is a slot canyon. Like, there really isn't anywhere to go. Now, this is important, right? There's, like, the only way through this is up. And the canyon's really short. I mean, it only took about a minute to get to the top, but as we come up to the top, we turn our bikes off, you'll notice we hear nothing.
Sick. That's the first time I've seen the name on here.
It's right about now we're wondering, where the heck is Glenn? And Glenn never showed up. We spent about 20 minutes looking for Glenn, and we were at the top of the canyon and everything went up from there, so it's not like we couldn't see all of the trails for miles and miles and miles. He just literally vanished. But Glenn is super well versed in the terrain. Like, we went back to all of the spots, we retraced all of the trail, couldn't find him anywhere, so we just were under the assumption that Glenn went home, because he did say that at some point he was going to back out and go home, and he just didn't tell us. So we kind of went back onto our way. We followed the plan that we laid out, where we were going to go to this lovely trail. Everybody sees it in Arizona. It's known as Costa Rica. And yes, we did see the lovely monkeys hanging from the trees. It's really neat getting back here. It's like plummeting into its own little ecosystem environment. Like, it's a little mini rainforest in the middle of the desert. However, I'm not a big fan of just having my handlebars yanked away from me and not being able to see where I'm riding. Like, this part was not necessarily my favorite, but it is, you know, it's entertaining to ride through like once a year, I would say. And this little section is so full of surprises. You never know what you're gonna get when you come around any given corner.
I found Glenn.
Oh, nice.
Back a little bit ago. I tried to left a message, but it wouldn't go out.
So then Glenn joined us on the quest for the gnar, and poor Glenn, Kevin was just holding it over his head, saying anything that I did, Glenn had to try, just because I was a girl, which means that Glenn could do it. And Glenn wasn't having it half the time. Now, Glenn's like 70 years old, he's a retired racer and everything. He does some really great stuff, but Kevin and Glenn just bicker like an old married couple. It's absolutely hilarious if you ride with the two of them. They have nothing but respect for each other, but sometimes you just can't publish some of these videos.
If you want me to ride it, I'll ride it. I'm all geared up right here. Go!
Nope. Yeah! Yeah!
It might have been messy, but wait, I'm not done yet.
Holy shit, was that incredible!
See, that was the least amount of energy I've ever used getting up that. Dude, you fucking discouraged me that you were gonna do poorly, so I didn't film it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did do poorly though.
Dang, I smashed my pegs and my pipe so hard on both edges of that little lip there. I should have wheelied it like Glenn. Glenn had it figured out. It was a really fun day getting to ride with these two. I'm so glad that I got to link up with them and they got to show me around Rio. And then the next day I had a private lesson with Edie and Cassie. Now Cassie is one of my old friends that I actually met at a dirtastic retreat in Gold Creek Lodge. And she used to be one of my inspirations in dirt bike riding, and she still is. We really complement each other in our riding styles. Like, I'm very methodical and I really like to think about things, and Cassie is very much so like hit things now, ask questions later type of rider. So we really complement each other in our riding styles, but it was so fun getting to ride with both of those ladies. We got to push our comfort zones a little bit, try some harder things, experience new lines and new ideas as far as riding goes from everybody. It was kind of like all three of us really learned something that day, and it was just so fun. I can't wait to go back and ride Rio some more. Definitely one of my favorite places to ride for sure. So after all that was said and done, on my way home I stopped back at mile markers again for a little bit of redemption and to meet my friend Kendall, who I also met at Gold Creek Lodge the same time I met Cassie. Now at this point, Kendall and pretty much the rest of the entire world was aware of the Arizona curse and knew what kind of bad juju I was having out here. So we vowed to stay on the opposite side of the park. This time, instead of going to the west side of the park, we went to the east side. We headed out towards mile marker 14 and we did what somebody called the North Loop. I don't actually know the name of these trails, but we found some really gnarly hills. And the hills were like just technical enough to keep you on your toes, but not so hard that they were impossible. But it was honestly probably one of my favorite rides so far. But of course, the curse just couldn't stay away. Did you run through some water?
I don't know.
Or are you losing? Oh, it's fork oil.
Yeah,
I see.
I think that's what's squeaking, to be honest.
Like you got fork oil on your brakes. Unfortunately, like you heard, Kendall blew her fork seals and they were leaking all over her brakes. Now that didn't stop her from going through with the rest of the ride, so good for her for being a trooper. We found a couple of really good technical sections, but then we made it out of the loop and we were right at the intersection to start heading back when the unspeakable happened. 7 massive hill climbs with big old ledges in the middle, you know, building a bunch of power going rut, 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 rut. We came out on the road, stopped to look at the map to navigate, and my bike won't start.
All right, now hold it wide open. Don't milk it nudge. Just hold it wide open and give us, see if it'll turn over. Okay. Better take the plug out and put it in the plug cap and lay it on the side of the motor and hit the starter a couple times and see if it sparks across the gap.
Now, I left all this in here, not only because I think it's really interesting how to troubleshoot bike issues, because I'm still learning about bikes and how they work myself, but because I don't know a single dealer where I'm stuck in the middle of the trail, I could call them up, and not only would the owner pick up the phone to answer my questions. I bought this bike. This bike was not gifted or sponsored or anything. I bought it. Not only would the owner pick up the phone, but 2 other techs would then jump on the phone and and troubleshoot this with me while I'm on the trail in order to get me back to the van. Like, you don't get that anymore. And I really wanted to highlight that level of customer service, but also the level of competence that not only the owner, but all of the techs have as well. Because I think it's really rare to find techs that you can trust with all of your heart and soul with your bikes and stuff. I think that's pretty rare. Upstate Cycles and Gerald and Magnus and Skylar all have earned my trust, my recommendations from just sheer experience and hard work, and they've taken my money, and like, I wouldn't want to give it to anybody else at this point when it comes to betas. They're my go-to over at Upstate Cycle. Give them a call. Even if you're on the other side of the country like me in California, let them know that Captain.Hurley recommended you to them, and they will take good care of you. They'll take good care of you regardless, but they'll take good care of you, and it would really help out the channel. So anyway, back to the action, I suppose.
We have reception. Made it to the top of Reception Hill.
Spark plug looks beautiful.
Lay it over there on the side of the engine and have somebody bump the starter. If you hold on that plug cap, you make sure that spark plug touches the cylinder. If you don't, you can get shot.
One more time.
Seen anything?
No, I'm not actually. I see nothing.
All right, try the other plug.
I see nothing.
You don't see a spark at all?
Correct.
Good Lord. That ain't good. You don't see a spark. I mean, it should be real easy to see. It should be a big, fat, yellow, blue spark. Let's try something a little different. That spark plug cap, unscrew the cap off the wire. Okay. And do you have that wrench that you use to take the spark plug off?
Yeah.
Does it have two bare metal ends that you could use to jump the solenoid?
You're using really fancy words. It's a crescent wrench.
Now, under the seat where the starter solenoid is, you know where that is behind the battery?
Is that what the big black box is with the two fuses?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, with the fuses. Pull that up. It's kind of on two prongs. You should be able to pull it up and have it kind of sitting over the battery. If you got it like that, you'll have the two wires going into it and two brass pieces. Take the wrench and touch both of those terminals together.
Woo!
Oh.
Hey!
Yeah?
There it is.
You got a spark?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Sounds like something went wrong in your kill switch up there, so just leave that unplugged for now. Leave that starter solenoid kind of pulled up. When you're ready to start the bike, just cross the solenoid, and when you're about to ride it, take the solenoid back in, put your seat on, you're ready to go.
Should have had a kickstart. I told those boys I needed one, and they went, "No, you never use it on the X-Trainer."
That's the trick.
Now, before anybody comes at me in the comments, yes, I could bump start my bike as well. So I planned a lot of my stops to be at the top of hills. Sometimes I just needed Kendall to help me keep my bike running when we came to a stop. We made it back to the van, no problems after that. No, this won't discourage me from like moving to a different bike brand. I love my betas. Both of them just needed a little TLC, and that's okay. That's to be expected. Got to ride some incredible places, got to see some incredible people. 10 out of 10 would do it all again. And this is what adventures are made of, you know? It was my first solo trip in like a year and a half. So of course there were some kinks to it. The next big trip coming up is Moab in 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing that one solo. My mom's going to be meeting me out there, and I'm going to be riding with a whole bunch of people I haven't seen in a while and some internet people I haven't seen at all yet. So it should be a good time. Stay tuned for that episode. I will post updates on what's wrong with the X-Trainer because we still haven't solved the X-Trainer problems yet. So the next video up on my YouTube channel will be all about the X-Trainer diagnostics while we wait for the suspension to come back on the Xpro. So with that, thanks for watching. If you like this video and you liked this series, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. All that jazz helps keep me motivated to make more Fun Guy Reality TV, and I'll see you on the next one.